This evening, so we have just the man for the job. Ron Hughley is the show of 610 Sports Show and Vern, and a Kansas City native. Doesn't really get to talk about the Chiefs very often, right? No, I'm just kidding. He gets to talk about all of it. So, Ron, thank you so much for joining us. Let's back up to the Jacksonville game. And this one, some experts are predicting that the Jags could come out of this one with the win. So do you think there's a chance that the Chiefs could start their season off with a big L?
Yeah, there's a chance. This is a Jacksonville team that has upper echelon type players, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and they're going to be ticked off. If you remember, this is a prideful team that got embarrassed in Arrowhead by Kansas City, and the Chiefs didn't play their best offensive game. I think they remember that game. You've got guys like Jalen Ramsey on this defense. That defensive line is really, really good. And they all they heard going into that game was, oh, the speed of the Chiefs. How are we going to stop the Chiefs' offense? How are we going to do this? That's all they're hearing again in the offseason. They've had 4 months to prepare for this. Yes, on the road, probably the most amped that team will be all season. There's a chance. Now, they better not, but there's a chance that they can lose that game.
Yeah, I think it'll be very interesting to see how it plays out. I think one of my favorite matchups last year was the Jalen Ramsey-Tyreek Hill matchup. They're already talking about it. The defensive coordinator said that Ramsey's going to shadow Tyreek Hill throughout the entire game. I mean, Reed said today, that's pretty much what he did last year. But what is the most exciting matchup that you're looking forward to in this game?
Well, first off, that guy's lying. He better be lying. There is no way in the world. I love Jalen Ramsey. I think he's probably the best corner in football. No one is going to just follow Tyreek Hill one-on-one the entire game, because you're just going to get tired. As many go routes as he runs, no one can do it. It's silly to me. I guess my favorite matchup is going to be the rookie Josh Allen. He's their first-round draft pick, lining up against Eric Fisher. I think I'm a big fella. I played on the D-line, and I want to see that matchup. I have my doubts and my feelings about Eric Fisher. I want to see how he lines up against that defensive line, and particularly the rookie Josh Allen from Kentucky. The Chiefs middle linebacker, the Chiefs linebackers coach had him as one of his best players last year at Kentucky, Matt House. I want to see that matchup. That's the one I'm intrigued about.
That one will definitely be good. And we've heard so much this offseason that Eric Fisher is so much better this year because he's been going up against Frank Clark day in and day out.
He's been getting beat down by Frank Clark day in and day out.
Yeah, there's
so
that too.
We'll see.
Well, we have been talking about contract extensions. So Zeke Elliott signing a massive deal with the Cowboys. Do you think Dallas got played, or do you think he's worth that money?
I think he is worth that money. I think he's worth that money to that team. Like, I'm really getting annoyed with the narrative. And I was really happy for running backs today, because the narrative that running backs, oh, they're a dime a dozen. Here in Kansas City, yeah, they're a dime a dozen because you got Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. If you don't have elite coaching and a great quarterback, then running backs are more important, and Dallas does not have that. I mean, we are spoiled because we saw Kareem Hunt here, and you got him in the 3rd round. If you go look at it, the great running backs in the league, the running backs that are difference makers, are in the 1st or the 2nd round. So this stuff about, no, don't pay. Why would you not pay your best player? Ezekiel Elliott is the reason why that team goes, and you got to pay him. So this stuff about, oh, no, running backs, don't pay running backs, I just don't believe that.
No, and you know what? Their lifespan in the NFL is one of the shortest of any position, and I think that is just reason alone for them to be paid higher. There are so many offenses that rely on the running back. Like you mentioned, Andy Reid is just a gifted mastermind and knows exactly how to work the offensive line to make the running backs much more successful when a lot of people don't think that they're going to be great. Somehow they have stellar seasons, and a lot of that goes back to Andy Reid. So I agree with you. I think that running backs deserve to be paid a lot more, especially for the load that they put on their backs a lot of times for teams.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, like I said, we get into the thought of, well, Tom Brady, look at the running backs they had. It's Tom Brady.
Exactly.
Look at Aaron Rodgers. It's Aaron Rodgers. When you have a great quarterback, yes, you don't need it, and the Chiefs don't need it, but you got Jared Goff, you need Todd Gurley. You got Dak, you need Ezekiel Elliott. You think Sam Darnold needs Le'Veon Bell? Yes. When you're an elite quarterback, that throws everything out the window. But most teams don't have elite quarterbacks. Most teams have the Dak Prescotts, Even Carson Wentz, to an extent, needs a running game. Like, so when you have the top of the litter, that's like a 5% of the league. The rest of the league, running backs are needed.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, then you may have answered this next question just a little bit. Jared Goff also signing a record-breaking deal. So my question is, does that set up a massive contract extension for Mahomes? And do you think that he could actually reach that $200 million deal that everyone's talking about?
Yeah, I think Pat's going to get whatever he wants, to be frank with you. I don't think the Jared Goff deal did anything for Pat because it didn't matter what Jared Goff got. They're not even in the same stratosphere. Literally, Pat Mahomes is going to get – if Pat said, I want 205, the Chiefs – well, all right, we'll give you 205. He's going to get whatever he wants, and he deserves it. When you have a guy that young, especially in this city, where we ain't seen nothing like that. We've been rolling through here with the Tyler Palkos and the rest of the garbage that has been at that position.
Speechless.
I'm sorry. I won't. There's probably some of these kids' families, these men's family are watching. I apologize. You know, the Brody Croys of the world. But in this franchise, a guy like Pat Mahomes, yes, you're going to give him whatever he wants, and that's just what happens at that position when you got somebody like him.
I've decided that Clark Hunt needs to just dish out part of the franchise. Look, when you retire, you get 5%, 10%, 20% of the Chiefs organization, and that's what Pat Mahomes deserves. Get a little crazy.
Danny, whatever they pay him, it's going to be much like, and I know this is going to sound crazy with the comparison, but it's going to be much like LeBron James. Whatever they pay him, it's not really going to be enough or what he's worth. I mean, you go down, I know you were down there. You go down to St. Joe and see the crowds and how many people came to St. Joe because of him.
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, the money that's going to be brought in over the next decade plus because of him, it won't even be worth his contract, whatever he gets.
Absolutely. Ron, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Always insightful. We're getting excited for that regular season opener. We'll talk to you again very soon. Football is back.
That's right.
Yes. Well, from football to baseball, the Royals promising to extend their netting, but not until next season. Why the delay when safety's at stake? We'll tell you what we found out when we come back.
You're watching the Nebraska Furniture Mart Locker Room Show. We'll be right back.
The Locker Room Show is sponsored in part by 7th Street Casino.
It's the final week of Your Way Labor Day at Crowley Furniture and Mattress. One way to save, 0